Steve. So thank you again, Carol, so much for sharing.
Hello.
Hi, Steve.
You talked about connecting with nature. I'd like to share a story real quick if I could.
Please.
Towards the end of 2019, and we all know what was in brewing at that time within our society, I had the opportunity to help some folks move from where I live in California into Arizona, which is, well, they're near Sedona, but not really. And so we're driving down this road and it's a 2-lane road, and we come up over this rise and drop down into the Prescott National Forest. And we're just going down this 2-lane road, and I'm following them, and they're maybe 2 miles ahead of me, and there's nobody coming at me, nobody in my rearview mirror. So I'm just kind of by myself. And I actually felt like I had been levitated out of my vehicle. I'm doing 65, 70 mile an hour. And yet I had this feeling within me, just this overwhelming feeling that I was royalty, that all these trees on each side of the highway were standing up and just honoring my presence. And it was mind-boggling. And so that lasted for, I don't know how long, but I came back into the vehicle and everything was fine, and we, went on our way. But about 3 months later, that was in August, so it's the following spring, up in the hills behind me is, we're at the base of I'm at the base of the Southern Sierra, the High Sierras in California, magnificent forests up there. And so I'm driving up there, and I'm going up to visit some friends. And again, there's pine trees all around me. And I just get this nudge to turn off on this road, this dirt road. And so I drive back maybe a couple 100 yards, and there's a clearing and there's an old fire ring. And I thought, well, this would be a nice place to have lunch. So I sit down, I get my chair out, I get all my stuff out. And as I start to sit down, my attention just, boom, went to this one tree. Out of all these ever around me, this one tree. And I walk up to it, and at the base of this tree was a bunch of garbage. And I couldn't see it from where I was at. It was of no interest to me at all. Well, this is interesting. So I pick it up and I put it, and I start walking back to where I was going, my chair was. And then boom, the same thing happened again. And I walk over this tree and this other tree, and here is some really, really old garbage that looked like it had been there for 20 years. So I picked that up. And this went on for like an hour. And I had ended up with this big old trash bag full of garbage. And again, as I go to sit down, my attention gets drawn to another tree way back in, probably 100 yards away. And I just start walking, in this direction. And I come around this tree, and on the back side of it is this huge rope swing that had been there for I don't know how long. So now I find myself hanging from this tree, just swinging around, having a great time like a kid in the playground, And it was just the most incredible experience I'd ever had in my life. And since then, I've got a couple of pine trees here at my house, and I sit under those. And there's times that I can feel the connection to that tree, and yet their root system going through the earth connects me to all the trees, up there in the hills. And it's just amazing. It's more fun than anything else. And if I'm losing my mind, that's okay, because I'm having fun with it, and I'm connected, and it's, experiences I've never had before. And we've touched on it earlier, y'all touched on it earlier, just being open and willing to set our ego aside and be open to any possibility. And it's so fulfilling. So I'm so grateful. I'm so happy that you're experiencing what you are, and holy cow.
And I'm so happy you're experiencing what you are, Steve. That's absolutely beautiful. I have to name, you said that you feel that connection to that tree. Anybody else relate to that feeling of that connection? I know I'm going to see a lot of hands going up. I'm naming that for everybody. That is your clairsentience.
Ooh.
One of the clairsentience. That is your psychic ability to feel, to be connected to something else, to feel, to receive information that's from some, outside of our 5 senses. That is your clairsentience. So all of you that raise your hand, and even if you didn't, there's other ways I'm sure that you can relate to that. I'm encouraging each of us to own our intuitive gifts, because we all have them. And the more that we recognize them and give ourselves permission to own them, the more we can start to practice using them and feeling into them and growing them and nurturing them. So that was beautiful, Steve. I really relate to your
Thanks. Yeah.
experience.